and welcome to Livewire's Outlook series for 2025. Joining me today is Zoe Middleton from Platinum Asset Management. Zoe is going to be sharing some of her best ideas for 2025. So it's been a good year for markets in 2024. How has it been for you?
Well, it's been a bit of a challenging year for us. Basically, our strategy is to be very disciplined on valuation and to not go where everybody else is going. And given the concentration in the market, particularly in the US, it hasn't been the best for us, but we're starting to see some glimmers of hope for 2025.
Very good. Zoe, for anyone who doesn't know you specifically or Platinum Asset Management, what area of the market do you focus on and what are you really looking for in your investments?
I'm a senior analyst in the global team and I focus on consumer stocks. And what I look for in investments, particularly when it comes to brands, is brands that have longevity, high barriers to entry, a management team that are good stewards of those brands. And of course, we're disciplined when it comes to valuation and we like to see companies that are growing, but with a valuation that isn't ridiculous.
Zoe, what's unique or different about the way that you invest?
For us at Platinum, how we invest is we're always looking for ideas where the market isn't really looking. So we're looking for opportunities that are maybe a bit undiscovered with valuations that reflect that. So
Zoe, just following on from that, 2024 has been a fantastic year for growth stocks. That's where everyone has been looking. I know it's not necessarily where you would be looking, but if you had to nominate a growth stock for 2025, what would it be and why?
We've owned Trip.com for a number of years and we think that it's still got great growth potential in 2025 and probably further out as well. It's the leading online travel agent in China and owns 50% of the leading online travel agent in India. So the company is benefiting from growth in travel spend in those markets and it's also taking market share. So we think that sets it up well for 2025.
We saw numerous industries break out in 2024. What's an industry that you think will break out in 2025 and is there a stock that can plug into that trend?
This is more of a theme that is a breakout theme. It's been going on for a while. I think it will continue in 2025 and it has implications for a number of industries within the consumer space. And that's the growing consumer interest in health and well-being. So this is something I think that's been spun out of COVID and stressed healthcare systems that are making consumers want to take a more proactive approach with their health and also embrace a more active lifestyle. And we're also seeing a bit of a blur between beauty and health, and that's showing up in more consumers seeking medical advice or treatments for cosmetic issues. So we have a number of stocks that we think are well placed to benefit from this trend. We have Haleon, which is a consumer healthcare company that owns household names like Sensodyne and Centrum. Galderma, which is a dermatology company, and that develops therapeutics, injectable aesthetic products, and over-the-counter skincare brands like Cetaphil. And then in the sportswear space, we own Puma, which is getting a bit of traction with their Speedcat sneaker and some recent collaborations. And Amos Sports, which owns a portfolio of outdoor and sportswear brands, including some fast-growing challenger brands like Arc'teryx and Solomon.
Fantastic. I may or may not own some Speedcats, so I know that stock quite well.
Lucky to find some.
Yeah, they're hard to get. Zoe, oftentimes when the market is flying, it's the high flyers that are getting all the attention, but there's always some value to be had in contrarian ideas. What's a contrarian idea for 2025 and why?
A contrarian idea in the consumer space is probably the luxury stocks. They've had a rough 2024 with slowing demand in multiple regions, but we know that slowdowns in luxury tend to be quite short-lived. And we also know that the leading brands have centuries of adapting to changes in consumer preferences. We've spoken to a number of executives in the space over the last 12 months, and we're pretty convinced that the long-term outlook for the sector is intact. We've also had valuations come back down to more realistic levels, and I think in 2025 we should see stabilisation of demand and increased innovation, which should also help boost demand.
Any particular stocks in that space that you'd nominate, Zoe?
Richemont is an interesting one. So they own Cartier, the jewellery and watch brand, and they're benefiting from a market shift from unbranded to branded jewellery. They're also divesting their unprofitable e-commerce business, which should make them more profitable and focused going forward, and they're in a better place to manage their inventory during this downturn than they have been in previous ones. So that's one I would nominate.
Nice one. Zoe, we've heard some of your best ideas. What's a stock, though, that you think investors should avoid in 2025 and why?
Well, there's a lot of hype and speculation in the market at the moment. So rather than avoiding any particular stock, I would probably avoid the hype in the market and focus on fundamentals when you're looking for investment ideas.
Nice one. Last one in terms of the stocks, Zoe. I know no fund manager would ever do this, but it's a nice fun thought experiment. If you could only hold one stock in 2025, what would it be and why?
Well, we tend to take a long-term view, so as long as the thesis is playing out and valuations remain attractive, we'd be happy holding any stock that we have in our portfolio for the whole of 2025. Having said that, I think one stock that you could hold in almost any environment would be Haleon. It's a consumer healthcare company, and I think we can all agree no matter what happens in the world, people are still going to get coughs, colds, headaches, and things like that. And in those situations, people gravitate towards brands they trust. And Haleon has a portfolio of those brands, including Advil, Panadol, and Voltaren. The company was spun out of GSK and it came to market with a lot of debt, and it's rapidly paying that down. And as they pay down that debt, they should have capital available to invest in growth and return to shareholders. We've met with management a number of times over the years, and they're really excited by what they can do as a standalone company in terms of growth and also increasing efficiency.
Sounds good. Zoe, thanks so much for taking part in Livewire's Outlook series for 2025.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you did, make sure to check out the rest of the Outlook series content on the Livewire website.